What is up, guys? It's ajmarkle here, and welcome to the very first episode of If Classic Disney Animated Movies Were Released Today. This is a series where me and someone I actually got with me to join this series, Holly. So we're gonna talk about this movie and why it would be a good movie today, but how it will be received. Because some of the movies back then, like first movie today, Robin Hood. Disney's Robin Hood from 1973. It was a great classic, but there is some stuff in there that would be probably a little risky today, to be honest. Which brings up the whole subject. The whole thing is determined whether it be a G, PG, PG-13, or perhaps even more, considering now ratings have changed over the years.
Yes, and not only that, but in a way, I'm actually doing arts based on children films that have dark moments. So in a way, this will be somewhat sort of a spin-off, I guess, helping me with my artwork, in a way.
Yeah, especially since one of the things at a university is art, so anyway, guys, let's start off with Robin Hood. So basically, the whole movie starts off with, the classic Disney intro, and then there was the whole, Alan Dale talking. There have been many tales of Robin Hood, all different too. And then they all go on how it really happened. And then there's the opening theme, which if you speed up, it's the hamster song. Okay, I won't sing the rest. Copyright.
Copyright.
So basically we get to see introduction of characters and introduction of the people involved, and then there is a scene where you see the alligator or croc. I'm gonna look that up probably before I confirm. That is chasing after the elderly couple, which is shown later in the movie. All the clip arts that have movements that basically happened will eventually show up in the movie in some way or form, because Disney recycles a lot of their concept art and artworks.
They do. They even recycle old animations from older films into new characters, so you might be familiar with some of them.
Yeah, especially with example, when it comes to Robin Hood, the Aristocats, and Jungle Book, I've all used very similar movements, just to name a few. We'll get to those two in another video. But anyway, after that, we go to the part where Dale's playing guitar and he breaks a string. And then we get to the intro of Robin Hood and Little John, which I will let Holly talk about a little bit.
Okay then, so Robin Hood and Little John,
who is not
I
little,
still kind of don't.
Who's not very little. Little John's not little, just to point that out.
Yeah, I honestly don't know why on earth they call him Little John, even though he's not little. But back to the concept. So basically, they're not exactly bad guys in a way, but they are to other citizens, such as presumably King John,
which is called Prince John because he's not exactly the king; it's King Richard.
Yeah, but he kind of wants himself to be claimed as king. Does this ring any bells?
Comment down below if you guys could get the reference.
Yeah. That was totally not me. That was much.
Anyway, we continue on with Robin Hood and Little John. They're going through the forest, and then as they're just taking a dip in the water, they're being clumsy.
Then what happens? Kind of already starts the whole trend of it being a bit crazy and a bit violent.
Yeah, especially the violence is a little bit of a heads up, because in 2022, which is this year as this is being recorded, and was 1973, they probably would not put as much emphasis on that than if they were doing it today. But this whole time, by the way, there was the whole song Robin Hood and Little John going through the forest. But to be honest, while that song's going on in the background in that movie, it'll still go in 2022. However, I'm not going to play that song because, copyright. Disney's copyright is insane.
Yes, it is, and unfortunately, copyright can still be pretty mean to us.
So anyway, we have the Sheriff of Nottingham and the archers eyeing them, and they shoot their arrows, and of course they're getting chased, they're firing arrows, and they're just dragging them out, which makes me wonder how athletic they are, and of course, somehow they did the animation where this arrow's just going at Lil Jon's tail. I'm just saying that because I don't want to say the other part, because
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, there was the discussion like, oh, they're getting better and all that. And then there's the whole royalty of Prince John coming through, which leads to outlaw time. And then Prince John showing his wealth. He loves money. Greedy, greedy, greedy. You guys already know. You guys already have ideas of what type of people reference to, and we're not going to talk about those people here. But anyway, as he goes in there, we see Robin Hood and Little John getting in their disguises, if we call it that. They basically, at first, Little John was a little hesitant, like, there's a law against robbing royalty, and then Robin Hood convinced him, like, poor Little John is like, here we go again, which shows a little bit of history of robbing. Real nice, kids. Robbing as an outlaw. No.
Robbing as in Robin Hood. This is full name Robber Hood.
Honey, that was a pun that you just put on camera. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no. This is what happens when I do too much videos.
That's just get what you hate with me. Anyway, so they go in, they explain their fortune tellers, and Robin Hood did a better job with the voice than Little John, just pointing it out. And then that's while Robin, that's basically the guy that does all the stretch with the ball, thanks to Little John. Little John does his own works of robbing solid golden knobs, which we would later find out they didn't rob him just to get rich. They robbed him because they wanted to sabotage Prince John, which leads to a little bit interesting part where Robin was able to rob the bag of gold, despite Prince John being a gullible little cub. I mean, lion, whatever.
Exactly.
And then we see a part where Lil Jon's in his underwear. I know he's a lion, but in Long John's. But come on, is that what kids need to see?
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole like invasion of privacy.
Well, whose fault was it for opening the curtain and not realizing that his robe got taken off? Thanks, Robin. Thanks for scarring kids into thinking that it's okay to take people's robes off, revealing their underwear.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna give out a suggestive theme.
Yeah, that's... Anyway, we fast forward, and Allendale appears, and we reveal the whole Nottingham of a poverty town. This leads to a very serious talk about poverty, and there are people in change, stocks, all because they didn't pay their taxes, and we know why. High tax Prince John. And if you see the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yep, and unfortunately, this whole poverty thing is serious in real life. It still goes on to this day, unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, honey. And of course, there's that little song from Sheriff of Nottingham. Every town has its taxes too, and the taxes are due. And then, of course, whenever someone gets paid, he just slurps up all the cash they got. Unfortunately, Prince John doesn't know taxation or representation. We already know where this is going. I'm not going to go into that. But obviously, though, this shows the Sheriff of Nottingham is doing his duty, but he's still a bit of a cold heart. Kind of wonder about if he needs a heart transplant to fix that. And so we get to see, of course, Skippy the Bunny. We introduce him and his family. they're animals, so this is very accurate. There was a lot of little bunnies because, of course, the female bunnies are known to reproduce pretty quickly, which is why it's in real life they're hard to get rid of. Anyway, Sheriff Nottingham shows up, and Skippy's birthday present was a farthing, which is basically their currency. And guess what happens?
The big bad wolf. I mean, Sheriff.
It's too accurate, unfortunately, because that's actually his animal character.
Yes, the nice sheriff, doing his duty, decides to take the coin out of the portal bunny's hand, paws, and give it to Prince John.
And Robin Hood disguises himself as an old poor person, and then he had money in his coin, so Sheriff Nottingham drops a coin, it pops up, and he takes all the coins out of that mug, which leads to Robin Hood later being introduced to Skippy and giving him a hat and a bow. Although which is the main outfit for Skippy for the rest of the movie. Anyway, we fast forward. Skippy's having fun with his arrow, and he accidentally shoots the arrow into Prince John's castle. And one of his friends, I forgot his name. You guys will comment down. His turtle friend told people that Prince John will cut off his head. Yeah, let's just say execution for kids. That's real nice. Go into someone's house, they will kill you. That's how it's gonna go.
Yeah, that's pretty dark. Not only for a kid, but for anyone in general. So that's also one of the dark themes in Robin Hood, and unfortunately, that has happened in older times, as we know.
Yes, and there's some history about that. So you guys probably might want to make sure to read up on your world history. Sorry, guys. I know school's almost out, but remember, history can bring knowledge and power, so we don't forget.
Exactly.
So anyway, Skippy was able to tell his friend to, I think it was Toby. It was Toby. That was his name. Toby. His name was Toby. He actually told Skippy not to go and get his head, decapitated, and then it will result in going into the castle. Well, Skippy, that is, and then we introduce Lady Cluck and the love of Robin Hood's life, Maid Marian. I know, guys. I know. Me, Robin, Holly, Maid Marian. I get it.
Oh no, I can already sense it happening. Also, I will point out one fact. Fun fact is that also, which is ironically similar to what I talked about, the animators of Robin Hood and Maid Marian, because they're both foxes, have been the inspiration of when the Fox and the Hound, when the cub fox grows, they use Robin Hood and Maid Marian's facial expressions as inspirations.
Yep, definitely a key point to talk about. But technically, a female fox is a vixen, but Holly gets the point.
Of course.
So, of course, Skippy was very careful about trying to get his arrow because he found the arrow, but he had to keep himself hidden so he doesn't get caught. But he tried to act tough, but in the end, he was actually a little nervous. They were actually playing a sports which not racquetball, not tennis,
Badminton.
Badminton. Thank you, honey. So that's actually a common sport today, to be honest. Anyway, unfortunately, Lady Cluck accidentally got it, and oh, that reminds me, she actually got it down their chest. I'm just gonna say it that way because.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Disney, for suggestive imagery.
Yeah.
So after the game of where is it, Maid Marian finds it behind her, and Skippy's arrow happens by random to be right there, and then we get Skippy getting a little nervous because he's afraid Prince John's gonna get his head cut off. So yeah, then the conversation goes. Maid Marian, they have a talk. His family shows up along with Toby, and then of course there's the talk about Robin Hood, Maid Marian. He's probably forgot to know about me, which leads to a little skit about Lady Club being Prince John and them making fun of him, which that is a good comedy humor right there, but I think Skippy hitting Lady Cluck right in the leg? Ow!
Yeah, that's definitely gonna leave a big bruise.
Even if it's wood. Knock on wood, I know. Anyway. So, after that, we get Maid Marian being in this falling in love with, and she has a poster of Robin Hood, even though it's wanted. So then we get to Maid Marian wondering if Robin forgot. Robin Hood doesn't. Nearly burns the stew. Friar Tuck comes in, and then they talk about a big competition, which leads to another disguise by Robin Hood, and then, of course, that we get to see some of the same animations we saw from the intro shown from the actual people. So that's basically a good recycled plot by Disney.
Yep. And then Robin Hood finds out about what the prize for the competition is.
And Robin does disguise herself as a spindle-headed stork, which very smart, by the way, with the wood legs and everything. And of course, the big thing is, if they had better DNA tests back then, Robin would get caught so fast he wouldn't even fire a shot. So archery basically was the competition of this whole thing. And the fast forward, spoiler alert, they had to face the Sheriff of Nottingham, and Robin beats the Sheriff of Nottingham. But while this happens, Little John disguises himself as a duke, and so he gets in, and that's when things take a much darker turn.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Also, we forgot to mention the character, Sir Hiss.
Oh my gosh, Sir Hiss. Yeah, Sir Hiss is basically one of the very people that has a lot more common sense than even Prince John, which is not exactly good. And of course, as we see later on, Sir Hiss was going out spying in a balloon, and he found Robin Hood, but guess who got to him first? Alnadale and Friar Tuck. Friar Tuck, by the way, is the friar of the friar of the Nottingham, basically like a pastor for those that want to know about that.
Yeah, and then he puts Sir Hiss in a barrel,
which another reason that this might raise eyebrows, had alcohol.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is gonna be a field day for YouTube. So. Anyway, we go in to fast forward. Robin Hood wins, and then we get to see Robin Hood being crowned the winner, even though there was a sword. But that's when things took a much darker turn. Unfortunately, Prince John knew, and that's when he ripped the outfit off.
Yeah, it's that's when Maid Marian noticed it was the love of her life.
Actually, she already knew. If you go back, he goes up to her and then he says, "I hope I win the kiss," and she looked into his eyes and saw. So.
True, but also in my actual physical form in a way. And
yeah, on stilts, and that's when Robin was tied up, and Prince John, in his monarchy form, just sentences Robin to being executed.
And then Robin Hood confesses his love to Maid Marian.
Did you just burp when you did that?
No, I'm still sick a little bit, so...
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Holly has been sick the last 2 weeks. I won't say exactly what she had because that's a kind of a sensitive topic, but I will say that she is doing a lot better than she was. So anyway, they press the love, and then Prince John makes the most inane accusation, which might raise eyebrows, but calling him a traitor to the crown when Robin basically called him out. And that's when Prince John said the famous words that Skippy was afraid about earlier, "off with his head." And remember, and Little John, the Duke, well, I'll let Holly explain this part.
Well, he kind of came off his disguise, and then suddenly the whole thing came out into a whole
Yeah, basically.
big fight.
Yeah, let's just say that Little John had Prince John's back for a bit.
Yeah. And, everything was turning into a mess. Everyone was fighting. Even Miss Clucky was fighting
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of fighting in that area, which is definitely not something that kids should watch. Especially when they are nearly shooting at each other's heads, for gosh sakes. My gosh!
I know, and like, it was crazy. And then, what happens next is, all the other characters, such as Robin Hood, Maid Marian, and Little John, and the rest of the good characters, all run off to the woods.
Sherwood Forest, by the way, which is actually a subdivision in real life near where I used to live.
Very nice.
Yeah, rich houses too, I think. But something we almost forgot to point out is a confession of love, like, "Marry my darling, will you marry me?" And Maid Marian thought he never asked. Yada yada yada. We get the hint. But after the whole Prince John, the phony king of England, that's when Prince John begins to lose it.
Yeah, like, he also found Sir Hespen a little.
He was a little drunk before the whole music started, basically. And tied him up in a knot. That's not nice. Sorry, bad pun, no points.
No, that's physical abuse.
Yeah, but reality is I don't think a human king will put his assistant tied up in knots, right? Unless it's their hat. But anyway, after the whole singing and the dancing, the Sheriff of Nottingham was actually singing the song. He was actually singing the actual song. And that's not a good idea when the actual person they're talking about is right behind you. Oops.
Yeah, that's a bit of a risky move.
Yeah, and basically threw a bottle of wine at him. Again, alcohol. And that's when he raised the taxes so high that everyone was put to jail. Another example of poverty, and another example of overstepping your bounds as a ruler. Yeah, not something you want to teach. It's a good thing to teach your kids, but it's not 100% kid-friendly.
Oh, no, it's, it really shows, like, how someone's mind, once they think, like, oh, I should be king, then I should have greed, and da-da-da-da, then power gets into their head, and they take risky decisions that doesn't really help anyone. Anyone can guess how that sounds familiar?
Comment below, you guys know what to do. But then it gets to a much darker turn when Friar Tuck gets involved and actually starts beating up the Sheriff of Nottingham. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah, I understand that it's like royalty and all that. You don't do that, and I guess they were angry, which led to another false accusation, high treason to the crown.
But still, it would have not made things any better at all, because it would have just made the citizens be in a whole lot more trouble.
Yeah, because it was more of a type of government where you really didn't have much of a voice. But to make it even worse, Prince John came up with an idea to execute Friar Tuck by hanging. Again, that is not kid-friendly at all.
No, and it's another note of history that you guys will also probably have heard about during history lessons, and that throughout.
Yeah, basically using a noose. And it's also been mentioned by Sheriff Nottingham that he will be hanging by the hangman's noose, so nice going, Disney. I understand history, but really nice for kids. Well, here. So basically, fast forward, Robin Hood finds out that Friar Tuck's going to be executed, but it was meant to be a bait to trap Robin Hood. So Robin Hood and Little John, despite it being a trap, have to work together. So they work together to get everyone out, including Friar Tuck. So one by one, they get everyone out, including Alan Liddell, who was put in prison as well. And that's when Robin Hood decides to get all the money back. This is basically the most extreme measure of robbing the rich, take the poor comes in this movie. And after Sir Hiss somehow woke up because Robin was a little too loud, things took the biggest turn in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's when it became so dark that some people would have questioned why on earth would it be in such a movie that's supposed to be kid friendly anyway.
Today, for all things. And and to kind of summarize, some of the things they did was they captured the Sheriff of Nottingham, tied him up, and they basically took one of the guards, did the same thing, and they had a lot of things going on. But then after the whole thing, it was a chase. Guards were chasing them, firing arrows. It was chaotic. And of course, there was an incident where just while everyone was on a carriage, and just when they were leaving, they realized they left someone behind, one of the younger baby bunnies. So Robin runs to get the baby bunny. This is very serious right here. He gets the baby and shoot! An arrow happened to be landed right there where the bunny originally was. If he was too late, that would have been way too dark, and the bunny would have went right through the bunny. The arrow went right through the bunny. Ugh.
Yeah, it would have been very controversial if the bunny didn't make it. And for fact, it's a kid bunny.
Yeah. And then after all this time, eventually, Robin Hood, however, got locked in. So he had to face the guards who nearly speared him with axes. Nice going. And then Robin goes on an arrow, kicks. They throw spears. He takes advantage of climbing, shoot him arrow. And that's when we see a torch from the Sheriff of Nottingham. A fiery torch.
And I think we all know where this is going.
So fast forward, there was a fight. Fire flew everywhere, and Robin was on top of the tower, and he got burned a little bit, basically. And he jumps into the water. And they shoot arrows, and his hat comes up with an arrow going right through the hat. And Prince John thought he was dead. And just like the old classic, he wasn't. Unfortunately, that was basically it. But there was so much fire, and it was very intense. And then we see Prince John trying to abuse Sir Hiss. Nice going.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most toxic relationships.
Toxic workplace, if you think about it.
True.
and then after that, we go into a good ending. King Richard returns, Nottingham is restored, and of course we see there's one more scene. There's the rock pile, and Prince John was hitting the rocks, and Sir Hiss was holding like a snake, and the Sheriff of Nottingham, well, I guess ex-sheriff, was hitting the rocks, and then the rock breaks Prince John's foot probably. And then, just when you think things couldn't get any funnier, Nutsy and Trigger, the two vultures, basically go off on their tyrant and shout arrows, and things go, whoops.
Yeah,
and then the arrow hits
John is like, I want my mommy! I saw some food!
He was like that before the incident. But anyway, the arrow hits the heart, and that's the way it really happened. Love goes on. That's the end. So, I know we talked about over half an hour talking about this, but now it's time for the final conclusion. The rating. It was rated G in 1973. However, thanks to the elements of poverty, war, fire, suggestive elements,
violence.
Yeah, this will be a PG if this was released today. This might be, you guys think, Aaron, it's animated. It can't be that bad. Sorry, but can you think it's the same thing with the Five Nights at Freddy's characters until they jump scare you, and then you find out the dark story behind it?
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that sometimes even FNAF is marketed for kids, even though it's not.
No, but back on Robin Hood, it's a PG because of the suggestive elements, violence, and even theatric elements that include Robin Hood nearly dying more than once, and even a kid almost dying. So it's an easy PG by a long shot.
Oh, we also forgot to point out there was originally going to be a deleted scene.
Yes, the deleted scene. Thank you, honey. You can explain this part.
Okay. Well, remember when we explained to you guys that there was a fight scene where Robin Hood was jumping from the fire into the water and his hat got shot with an arrow? Well, originally he was going to be injured somewhere. I don't know if it was the hip or somewhere.
It was fire. It was the fire. They concluded he got burned pretty badly for the fire.
Yeah. So then Little John would take him back, and they would treat his wounds, and he was close to dying, wasn't he, Evan?
I think so, or something. Actually, not close to, because in that scene, the guards went after Little John and Robin, and they went to Friar Tuck's place. But guess who followed? Sir Hiss and Prince John. And this is where Prince John gets very colder and very darker, that he almost tried to get his dagger to kill Robin Hood, but Maid Marian, of course, was in the way. And just when you think there's no hope, King Richard shows up, and then la da 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 da, you get the hint. But here's the thing why I think that scene got deleted. While it is a good extension, and it would have been a different plot, the ending got rushed a little bit, and that is why probably Disney had to cut it, because it probably was rushed.
Also, not only that, but I think, in my opinion, if that scene stayed in, it possibly would have changed the rating slightly to maybe... it could have still been PG, but it would have...
Actually, it could have still been G, but I think it would have been PG because of the element, honey. But there is one thing to point out, though. Had that scene be left in there, and had Robin had that incident, and it was PG, it would have been the first animated PG film by Disney. The first one being the Black Cauldron back in the 80s, which we may not talk about that one because, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like... It's really weird and yet intriguing how deleted scenes can actually sometimes change a plot line of how it was originally supposed to be and how dark it was, and sometimes there were even scenes where they would get cut out just because they didn't have enough time to put it, or it didn't have anything to do with the movie plot.
Yeah. So anyway, we got the delete scene out of the way, just gonna point out, but here, the conclusion, it's PG, and the other bigger conclusion is that Robin Hood probably would still have been a great movie, made millions of dollars, and people would probably love the old school animation. So, what do you guys think? Should it still have been G? Would it be PG? Who knows? The truth of the matter is, though, Robin Hood is still a Disney classic animated movie, 2D animation, and I think it should stay that way. I know there's rumors that it's going to be remade. Please, no. But that's not...
Yeah.
But it's Disney. They are going to do whatever they can to make money. But anyway, guys, if you guys love this beginning of a new series, please make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and subscribe to Holly's channel, and also help her grow. And also, guys, I'm almost to 9,000 as I'm doing this, and who knows, maybe in the future we'll probably have a lot more, but we're definitely going to be doing a lot more of this. We're trying to make this a weekly series, so that way we could get out there. And also, y'all, hope to see you guys in the next video. God bless you, Rod. Don't forget it.
Be unique and be creative, and have a good day or good night, everyone. So, peace out.
All right.